Welcome back, everybody. It's Ricky Ransom. And of course, we have Ralph here. Today, we're going to be talking about a quick and cheap way to make currency in Path of Exile 2. So let's get to it. Okay, now into the nitty gritty of it all. Take any lower level skill gems you have and figure out which skill you're going to engrave onto the skill gems. I recommend figuring out whatever the meta skills are at the time. So like for this current league, I've been doing Tempest Flurry and Ice Strike and even Spark. But for future leagues, it could be different. So figure out whatever the meta skills are, because those are the ones that are going to have the highest odds of selling and having the most value. And I also recommend that you do this on a character that can equip whatever skill you're going to be engraving on these skill gems. Because later on in the end of this is why we can use the lower level skill gems in the beginning. Because with skill gems, when you corrupt them, you can upgrade them if they're equipped to your character, even though you can't like change anything else. And most items in the game, once you corrupt it, you can't add anything else onto it. But skill gems do have this unique ability where even after they've been corrupted, you can still increase their level. You just can't increase their quality or how many sockets they have. So keep that in mind. I recommend doing it on a character that can actually equip that skill gem. Otherwise, you're gonna have to start with level 20 skill gems. And depending on where we are in a league, the level 20 skill gems can be pretty expensive. So it's just gonna be more of an investment, and like you're gonna get less of a return because you're investing more into it. So that's why I think it's better to start with those lower level skill gems. It really doesn't matter what level they are at when you start, because you're going to be upgrading them to level 20 in the end anyway. So yeah, just take that with a grain of salt, or just keep that in mind. You know, the other thing is you can also reference the trade website to see which skills are selling for the most. If you know there are certain skills that are like the meta builds, look at those skills on the trade website, see how much the level 21 full quality max sockets are selling for, and aim for that. Otherwise, yeah, just like use your best judgment before doing this, because you don't want to invest into a skill that, even if it's maxed out and hits the right corruption, is only worth 5 divines if you're investing at least 5 divines to make it. Okay, this next part is optional, but I do recommend it. The reason why I recommend it is that it increases your odds of hitting what we're looking for. And what we're looking for on these skill gems is +1 level from corruption. So inherently, it's like a 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 chance of hitting that out of all the things that you could potentially hit with corruption. But if you use an Omen of Corruption, it takes away, or it just reduces the odds that your skill gem is gonna do nothing. Because that's one of the options. When you corrupt something, there's the chance that nothing happens. But with skill gems in particular, there's only, I think it's 5 options that it can hit, even with that doing nothing. So you're reducing those odds from 1 in 5 that it does nothing to 1 in 10. Because early on, we thought the Omen of Corruption guaranteed that you weren't gonna have nothing happen to an item, but it just reduces the odds of that happening. So I do recommend getting Omens of Corruption. That does increase the investment in the front end, but I think overall it is worth it, because then you just have to typically use less skill gems and less perfect jeweler orbs, which we'll get into that. But that's kind of the most expensive part of this process and this method, is that you're going to have to use perfect jeweler orbs on all the skill gems that you're attempting this with. So it might be a little bit more upfront cost, but I think it's going to end up being more valuable in the long term, and you're going to have more consistency if you use Omens of Corruption. So I recommend that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take all of those skill gems that you have and you're going to max them out. You're going to use your lesser, greater, and perfect jeweler orbs on all of your skill gems. And then you're going to use your gem cutters prisms to max the quality to 20%. Next, and this is where it gets interesting and potentially devastating. But like I said, this has been way more consistent to me than any other method of just like putting in currency and getting more than I invest. You're going to take all of those skill gems, make sure you activate all your omens of corruption before you use your Val orbs to corrupt all of them. And what we're looking for, I said this earlier, but I'll reiterate it. What we're looking for is +1 skills from corruption. Once you hit that, and here's the irony of all of this, because we're going to talk about, this is like proof of my RNG, because you have probably been seeing the videos running in the background. And what happened to me, typically when I do this, I will do 5 skill gems at a time because I have the currency to take that risk. And out of those 5, I'll usually hit 1 or 2 out of those 5 and hit that +1 level from corruption. But as you can see in the background, I attempted, this is the most it's ever taken me to hit a +1 level from corruption. And it's because they knew that I was trying to make a video. So this time it took 13 tries to hit +1 level to corruption. So in this instance is one of the few times where I actually would lose currency from what I invested in getting just that 1 skill gem. So that's why there is risk. There is a chance that could happen to you. But like I said, this is the very first time it's ever happened to me where it's taken 13 tries to hit it. Typically, I'll hit 1 out of 5 or even 2. Sometimes I've hit 1 doing 2 skill gems, and 1 out of the 2 were +1 level from corruption. So keep that in mind, just so that you don't get your expectations too high, and realize that that's why I'm giving you a warning that don't use the only currency you have left to attempt this. It's better if you're at that point where you have like 50 to 100 divines, but you just can't make more currency and you're like, I'm getting screwed running maps, I'm not having anything drop, I'm running trials, I'm doing all these other other methods of trying to make currency, and it's just not happening for me. But this way is pretty consistent. It's the most consistent that I found. But just a heads up, you can be like Ricky and you can have bad odds, but I think it's only because I'm trying to film the video. That's the way it goes usually. So yeah, you're gonna corrupt once you have your skill gems fully maxed out, you're going to corrupt them all, and we're trying to hit that +1 level from corruption. Then after that, you're going to take that skill gem, and this is only if it's the lower level ones, but I do recommend use lower level ones, so you're not investing a bunch of level 20 skill gems to attempt this. You're going to equip that skill on your character, and then you're gonna use a level 20 skill gem to upgrade that skill. And if you do that, it will go up to level 21, and it's gonna be full max quality, 5 sockets, and that's where all the money is. So hopefully this works for you guys. And remember, this will work for this current league if you're just trying to make some currency to finally get that Astramentis or Temporalis before the league resets. They announced in like mid-February that it's going to be a month before the patch 0.20. I am predicting that it'll either be the very end of February, or I mean the very end of March, or the beginning of April before the patch hits. Either way, in future leagues, this will still also work, but the earlier in the league, the more of an investment. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. But it might be great when you're just really struggling to get currency in a league and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna use the divines I've been saving up to try to make more divines, and it could work out for you and end up being super beneficial. For me, I made over 100 divines in just a couple of days of profit, so it's definitely worth it. And I think that this method, I'm not one of those people, you'll notice this, there's a lot of gate-kept information on how to make currency. Some of you might already know about this method or have figured it out on your own, but I just want to put this video out there for people who don't know, because it is beneficial. And people in my stream have been like, dude, you need to make a video on this, because they didn't know about it and they didn't know like the odds and the consistency and things like that. Hopefully it helps you guys out too. And if you guys have any other recommendations for quick ways to make currency, or other topics you would like me to make videos on about Path of Exile 2, please leave them down in the comments. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day / night / morning / whatever it is, wherever you are. And I will see you on the next one.